Well, let's start from the beginning. Where are you from?
Okay, so I'm from Altamont, Utah, small town, kind of northeastern. So right where the little jog is, just right down, just below that little jog right there. That's where
Okay,
I grew up.
that's cool, man. Um, and you competed in Skills USA, correct?
Yeah, so I competed at the Utah state level, the national level, and the world level.
How did you get into that? Was it like you're like, well, these are the only electives I have in high school, and then you just kind of fell into welding that way, or was it something that you always pursued or wanted to do?
So ever since I was little, I've always had kind of a passion for welding. I grew up watching my dad and my uncles and my grandpas all weld or whatnot, like just on farm equipment and just random stuff or whatever. And I just like caught an interest in it, and so I just started taking my local high school classes, and then had a local tech college that was like 30 minutes away from my high school. So I'd go down. I was taking high school classes, welding high school classes, and then I switched over, started taking the tech classes, and then my technical college instructor Kevin Mitchell, he hooked, like kind of set me up down the path of the world skills stuff, starting out with state and nationals. Um, so he was a big inspiration. Chandler Vincent was one of the past competitors that went from that same school. He was another big inspiration. Jordan Packer, the previous competitor in 22, right before I went, like, the cycle right before
Yeah,
the cycle or whatnot. So it was a lot of different people, a lot of different circumstances that kind of led to it.
that's awesome, man. So you you just kind of took a liking to everything, and it seemed to be in your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just seeing. Well, and another thing too is like I saw the potential in it, for the ease of getting jobs later on down the road, the knowledge. The biggest thing for me, like, yeah, it's cool being able to, like, say you've gone and competed at worlds and stuff, but what was really important to me was like the knowledge and the
Hmm.
experience and the person that I've become. That's the most important thing that I've gotten out of it, is the person that I've become and the knowledge that I've gained.
That's cool, man. Because you're, I mean, I've watched a lot of interviews and stuff with you. I've yet to meet you in person. I didn't make it to Fab Tech this year, but you carry yourself really well. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like you get put in a position where it's hard to be humble sometimes, but I always try to be super humble. And a lot of people are like, they treat you kind of like a celebrity, which is kind of cool, but at the same time it's really weird because you're like, I'm just the same kid I was 10 years ago, and I didn't even know how to weld, and it's just,
Yeah,
now I know how to weld. And I don't know, there's some weird, it's really cool, but it's kind of weird, the feel after all of it. But
kind of the the luster and the glory of it have worn off, and then everybody's forgotten about it. And
well, that too, yeah. Well, no, like, still to this day, I've got people that they
really,
find out about it and they still like, oh my gosh, it's Wyatt, and it's like, I'm just a normal person. But
that's really cool. Yeah, that world skills and stuff like that didn't exist when I was back in high school. So
what's crazy about it, I can't remember exactly when, because it was originally called Vica back in the 19. I don't quote me on this, but the 1970s or 1980s, they switched it over. It was called Vica, and then I think it was right at 1990s or in the early 2000s they switched over to, like, they call it the, like, skills.
yeah,
Don't quote me on those numbers. I think it's I'm probably off on those numbers, but
yeah, because it was VICA was like vocational something competition or something like that. That's what that stood for. I
yeah,
remember hearing about that, but it just didn't exist in my area. So that's cool,
yeah.
man. What has been a piece of advice that you could give someone looking to kind of follow your steps but make their own way in it?
Put your head down and put it like get right into the work. The more you can weld, the more you're like watching an arc, and the more you're picking people's brains, and the more you're trying what they've explained to you, the more you're trying to figure out how to make the best welds possible. Like you're being able to adapt and learn and listen and have the discipline. Like those key steps right there will take you from barely knowing how to like not knowing how to weld at all and getting to you where you can weld up at the world skills level within like a year and a half.
That's pretty awesome. What let's see. What has been something that you thought would come out of this that came out of it and it was more than what you expected?
Um, so the person that I've become, the knowledge that I've like obtained from it outside of the welding portion. So like obviously you train for a year. Like I've trained for 3 or 4 years just to get ready for this competition, including state and nationals. But the people skills that I've learned, the being like professional over calls and in certain situations, like especially nowadays, like I'm doing business calls, I'm going and talking to people, trying to get side work, trying to different things like that. Just being able to like the confidence and the comfort and being able to just walk up to people and talking to them. Um, that's it. People skills probably.
That's cool, man. That's something a lot of people really don't take for granted, and you know, just having to be able to communicate to people or with people is a big thing. Learning how to read people is something that I just can't, for whatever reason, get. But you know, some have it, some don't.
Yeah, it's and what's nice about it too is like, well, there's all I've kind of noticed they all think somewhat similarly, I guess, and
Hmm.
so you can kind of pay attention to how they say stuff or what they say, and you can kind of really for business or like landing a business deal or whatnot, especially it's all pretty common in that aspect, and then you can read their body language a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
but what was
What have
crazy
you?
is seeing that the same what I just explained across the
Hmm.
world, like down in Australia and in Canada and over in France, like same thing. Like yeah, they speak different languages, but like we're welders are just a type of people, man.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
I mean, you could speak any language you want to, but when it comes down to it, the puddle's the puddle. It's gonna puddle exactly the same down under as it does up in Canada. I mean, there's no, there's not really a difference in it.
Yep.
It's kind of like a universal language in a way.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with several welders over the years, all over the world, and it's just crazy how you can't really speak their language, they can't really speak your language, but in the end, like you could show somebody a video and they're like, "Oh, yeah, exactly, I know how to do that."
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. Have you had a favorite? How long have you? How long has it been since World Skills for you?
So it was last October, so it's been roughly about 6 months now.
Okay, and was that? Are you still in high school or are you out of high school?
So I've been graduated since 21, so I've been out of school for what,
4
three or
years.
4 years now? 3 years,
Okay,
4 years.
that's awesome, man. Have you? What has been your favorite job since then?
So
A lot of jobs.
I've had a
It's
couple of
okay.
jobs, but a lot of it was training. So I worked for my instructor at the tech college, Kevin Mitchell. I worked for him for like 2 years after building aluminum dog boxes that fit in the back of pickups. It's a super
Hmm.
popular thing here in Utah. Well, actually, all over the West Coast. Like we got there's just these big, huge aluminum boxes that fit in the whole entire bed of a pickup truck, and then they haul like eight or anywhere from 5 to 10 dogs, and they have a
Yeah.
rack on top. Anyways, built probably 400 of those right out of high school, doing a push pull aluminum gun, and then I switched down to a different college, USU Eastern, down in Price, Utah. Hired on with a different guy down there at Alloy Solutions, Mason Winters. Worked for him while I was going to school, so I was working for him part time. We were doing a lot of like manufacturing and whatnot down there. We were also doing like a lot of TIG, stainless TIG and aluminum TIG welding for Sandia National Laboratories. Did a bunch of projects for them, and then did some side jobs while I was in school. And then right after that, I pretty much went to training for like 2.5 years straight. Just completely quit and just started training about 2 years, 2.5-ish years probably.
How do you go about training for it? Is it just basically, do you know what you're going to be welding when you get there, or?
So at state and nationals, you have no idea what you're gonna have, but at worlds, you get a print, which it actually changed for our rotation. We had like, what was this, 8 months? Normally they know like a year ahead. They'll send out the print, so like your aluminum, your stainless, your pressure vessel, and then you have your like 16 to 18 different combinations of like module 1 test plates. But they can change your vessel, stainless and aluminum, up to 30%. So those three, I think you can change 30 on each process or whatever. And then they draw off out of those, like anywhere from 16 to 18 test plates, they'll draw 5 different ones. And so you have to like memorize every test plate. So anyways, we knew roughly what we were doing, but we didn't know what welds went where on the vessel or anything. They give you kind of like a rough like print to train off of, but that's it. So you just pretty much have to guess.
Oh, that's pretty cool. But I mean, so they give you a print and you read off a print what to do?
For the most, yeah. So at the world competition, that's what they do. They'll have like a
Okay.
So it's the same thing as state. You have like a state or nationals. You'll have like an orientation. They'll go through. The only difference is state and nationals. You get the prints handed to you the day you go to compete that morning, and then as soon as you get handed the prints, basically you're going in and you're welding. You get these prints like a day or two before your comp. Like I think it was 2 days. They'll give you the print. You do this big orientation. You go through, ask questions or whatnot. Because you only have 18 hours to weld a whole entire vessel, which takes 8 or 9 hours. Your aluminum project, which takes anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 hours. Your stainless project, anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours. And then your module 1, anywhere from 3.5 to 5.5 hours. And you have to strategically like dial in you have to know every process, like your stainless, aluminum, your vessel, every test plate, literally down to like 1 or 2 minutes. You have to have your welding procedure down that close, and then you're able to go ask questions, and then you're able to pre-plan in your head every weld, every sequence, how you like when you're gonna grab your grinder, when you're gonna grab your welder, like to a T for like the next. As soon as that alarm or as soon as that horn goes off, you're just right into it, and everything's
cool,
fun.
man. Actually sounds like fun.
Oh, dude, it was such a blast. I mean, so much training involved, but and so many like nerves and like there's a mental side to it too. But it was so much fun.
What was your favorite aspect of the training?
Just being able to watch a puddle pretty much all day, every day. That was like the best
Yeah.
thing.
What was your favorite process? Like, okay, so go back to when you started training for this. What was your favorite process going into the training?
I would say probably TIG.
Okay. DC TIG or AC TIG?
Both, man. Both.
Both. And then after you finished training and after the competition, did you have a new favorite process or did you just grow your love for TIG?
My love for TIG has grown so much more, dude. Like if I could do that every day, I would sit there and do it all day, every day.
It's possible, man. You just gotta sometimes take a crappy job to get your foot in the door to do it. That's the only bad thing.
That's about getting to that point.
Yeah, it sucks to take that pride hit and be like, man, I don't want to work for $14 an hour or whatever low pay it is. But then it's like, is that at least it's making money as opposed to not making money.
Yeah, that's kind of so the situation I'm in right now. Is kind of that situation. Like I'm getting paid pretty good, but I'm doing structural. But I'm in a better location to find said TIG jobs. And I've done some stainless work recently for one of my buddies I grew up or went to college with for one
Hmm.
of his show trucks. I did a hood stack, and I'm looking into doing some stainless piping now, which I know a lot of people off the like from the Edge Army. They do a lot of that all around the country, but I don't really know of anybody in Utah or like on the besides in like I guess the West Coast. Yeah,
Hmm.
like California and like Colorado. I think they do a little bit of like stainless and aluminum TIG welding pipe for vehicles, but I don't think anybody in Utah really does it yet. So I might try to.
Probably southern Utah, more or less, just because of the motorsports.
Oh yeah, St. George down that way.
Yeah, down
I think
that
it is.
down that way closer. Is it Nevada that's down there?
Yeah, Nevada. Yeah,
Yeah, there like in Reno area. There's a big like motorsports community.
'cause I know there's a lot of people. And the only reason I'm even thinking about it because I know a lot. They're doing a lot of new like truck show stuff out here, and
Yeah,
everybody's like super big into the stainless and aluminum piping. Getting it all powder coated or running it stainless, just straight plain stainless. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's a thought I've been tossing around, but we'll see.
And motorsports is fun. It's something I never really got into. I did let's see, vessel and structural, boilermaker, and then sheet metal. Pretty much it. I didn't get to do any of the cool turbo stuff or
Oh,
none of that, man.
yeah, that's something I wouldn't mind it getting into like pipe, doing like or like stainless pipe or something like that. I'd like to do
Yeah,
that.
you probably do really good in oh gosh, I can't even think of what it's called. Sanitary.
Sanitary, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of that out here too.
yeah. I
Well,
mean, anywhere you can find like a brewery or someone like that, there's always sanitary welding or food plant.
that's it right now.
Yeah, I know it's late.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So right now, like another thing I've realized after like training, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so like
Yeah.
right now, I've been networking like crazy, at least trying to, anyways, to see. And I've been talking to like Stacia. I was
Hmm.
talking to her about some TIG jobs. I've been talking like to my buddy that I competed or Jordan Packer that I was training with. Or I guess he trained me. He was, because he's one of the past competitors that have a. Anyways, just talking to him. We've actually been talking, throwing around some business ideas. Um, anyways, just networking with everybody, trying to find some stuff. You hop on your phone and you're looking for TIG jobs or different welding jobs. But
Yeah.
the best way that
I.
I found is just you gotta just talk to the right person at the right time,
Hmm.
and you just land a
Yeah.
really good job.
Yeah. Or I mean, there's always the ability to make your own work. If there's any like fence builders and like gate and fence people out there, they always need gates made. Stuff like that. I mean, it's quick, easy money. Just little flux core welder and just go knock it out in the field and don't have to worry too much about it.
Yeah, there's speaking of that, like the handrail stuff out here, dude. It is
Yeah.
crazy right now. It is popping off.
Hand railing is always one of those weird things that you gotta price it right because real quickly one screw up will make you no money at all.
Yeah, you're losing money that fast. You're either making a ton of money or you're losing a ton of money really fast on handrail, from what I've
Yeah.
experienced, anyways.
Yeah, I've experienced that. It's not fun at all, man.
Nope.
It happens. So you're the newest member to the Edge Army.
Yeah. Yep.
So that when did that happen for you?
So that was actually in FabTech. So I was sitting there, I was hanging out with them because so Edge sponsored me. It was right after the weld off, so it was last March. I got a hold of them after last March. Um, and they sent me over some TIG cups. I actually used their TIG cups at Worlds. So what's funny about it, and I don't know if I should really mention this or not, Michael Furyk also hit me up. Well, he didn't hit me up. I hit him up and I hit Edge up at the same time. And I hit a whole bunch of companies up. CK
Yeah.
Worldwide, just everybody that I could think of to help sponsor, because I had a bunch of money put away that I could have bought all this equipment.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also paying for my own food and my housing and everything at the same time. And so I had to be pretty strategic about money spending. So anyways, I hit all these companies up, sent me a bunch of equipment, a bunch of TIG cups and stuff. So yeah, they were one of the ones that like sent me a whole bunch of TIG cups. Michael Furyk did too. And we can get in a whole discussion about like the nitty gritty. I like both cups, but when I got to FabTech and I was talking to them, and they had really like gone up and beyond to like help me out. Like I would
Mm-hmm.
text them either Michael Furyk or get the people over at Edge. They all like. Which I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
edit this part of the video out or
No,
not. But
dude, Michael Furyk is amazing. I love that guy. Like that guy is helped me out so many times with just advice and different things that I've had on there. Had many a great conversation with him at FabTech and stuff. Like he's amazing, and Stacia and Eric are absolutely just like the best people in the industry. So I mean, they both, my hats off to both of them, and they're both cool. And we don't need to edit anything out, man. Don't worry about it.
oh,
But
perfect. Yeah,
yeah,
because I like both of them. They each so.
yeah.
And what's cool about
They're
this?
between the two of them, there's a huge amount of respect for them from the industry. So, like, it's
Yeah,
good. Don't worry about it.
yeah. No, so what's really cool when I was doing my testing, some of Michael Furyk's cups would work really good for some things,
Hmm.
for some certain joints or like on the aluminum project or whatever. And then Eric and Stacia's TIG cups or Edge TIG cups, they worked really good for other aspects of it, if that makes sense. Like I got
Yeah.
down to the nitty gritty, which you wouldn't think a TIG cup would make a difference. It makes
Oh,
a
you
difference.
do.
It
Trust
makes a
me.
huge difference.
Yeah. It back when we were testing out all the stuff for the shorty cups and trying to create things, and Eric and them were working on the laminar flow cups and seeing how those are. Like it awakened me to something that I had never even thought of out of 30 something years of TIG welding, and then that comes in as like, wait a minute, like there's real science on this part of it too, and that technology that feeds into that part of the industry is just something that most people just take for granted because a lot of them you'll see, oh, the cheap Chinese cups, and you're like, oh, it's a glass cup, it's a glass cup, and that's not true. Not a glass cup is not a glass cup. So
No,
I mean,
not
I do like Furyk's ceramic cups, but since 2018, whenever I joined the Edge Army, it was a long time ago. Like since then, I've just been all Edge all the time, no matter what. So,
yeah. No, they have what's really cool is they have like we have the Edge Army.
mhm.
They're super good about doing the like ambassador program, and I think that's super cool. Um, but yeah, I'm not really like I'm kind of like in the middle. Like I'll use edgy
Yeah,
stuff and I'll post, but like there's times and places where I'm probably going to use a Furyk cup too. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
you can't. The way I look at it is, you can't go through life wearing the same pair of shoes the whole time. Sometimes you got to put your fancy boots on. Sometimes you got to put your work boots on. There's a proper tool for everything, and that's what they are. There's the cups and the way that they've actually come into things is phenomenal. And I will admit that Furyk's cups were the cups that I tried first. before, aside from, the pink standard cup, and that really changed my world. And then I think it was a 2016 meeting somebody that handed me my first Edge cup, and I was like, "What is this? Like, how come this cup I get better gas coverage out of it than this other glass cup?" And you know, there's a lot of science that goes into cups for sure.
Yeah, no, well, we could talk about it all day. And then like the different tungsten you use, how you grind
Yeah,
it. I mean, those ones are obvious, but like when I was training that much, like I was testing every little thing down to a T where I knew exactly what grind angle would do what. I mean, it's like being
yeah,
a welding engineer. From what I understand of being a welding
hmm,
engineer, it's like that, but you're like every day constantly testing it and proving it over and over and over again.
yeah,
But it's not like it's in the whole broad spectrum of 4 different processes versus one process. And that's all you're doing
yeah,
for like a production standpoint. It's like, I don't know, world skills, it's really hard to explain all that goes into it without actually like doing it, if that makes
yeah.
sense. Like
Is
sitting
it
down.
is it like the Olympics? Would you compare it to the Olympics?
Yeah, I would consider it the skills Olympics basically. That's like literally what it is basically at that point. The only difference is it's a skills trade. Well, I guess there's two. It's a skills trade, and then you have an age limit,
Oh, okay.
and
What
then
are
you
the
have
age limits?
so the maximum age you can be competition year is 22.
Oh God, that was a
Um,
long time ago.
yeah. So you can compete in high school. I think I'm not. Don't quote me on this, but technically, I think I could have competed twice. I actually did try to compete the year my buddy Jordan Packer competed,
Hmm.
but I got beat out by one of the local high school kids. My first go around, and then my second go around, I trained way harder and did stuff way differently, and pretty much just walked through the playing field up until the actual like world trials and world started.
That's so cool, man. Like, you know, even everybody wants to win a gold medal or compete against the best of the best, and that's just my hat's off to you for doing that, man, and staying who you are and standing up. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, it's less than once in a lifetime chance, or how do I normally say it? It's less than once in a lifetime,
Yeah,
or however you would say that.
something somewhere around there. It's the words are there. We just don't know. What is
Yeah,
it? So is it a less than a once in a lifetime opportunity?
yeah, less than a once. Yeah, yep. Sorry, I'm tired, man.
I get it, dude.
Caffeine's
Trust me.
freaking wore off, dude.
I completely understand. After working all day and then having to talk to some old man, I get it.
No, I was just working all day. I got off early and went and ran a bunch of errands, and then after that, I just
Yeah. Once you sit down on the couch, it's done, dude. That's
yeah, and just.
yeah. It never leaves. So, is there something that you want to achieve that's left out there?
I want to start my own business. That's the next thing. Um,
Okay.
Working on the fine details right now. Either being business partners with some people or starting my own thing. I've been buying and setting up getting a bunch of equipment gathered up to actually start my own thing. The
Mhm.
biggest thing is now is just like kind of finding the work. I'm just working on finding the actual jobs now. Um, so when I got laid off in end of January, all through February, I actually found a bunch of work.
Mhm.
And found out really quick that people will not send you drawings. They will text you and they'll hit you up and be like, "Hey, I want you to build this. I want you to build that." And then you're like, "All right, send me a drawing. I can get it quoted for you and get your project, like your product or your project done." Right? No, they never like 10, 15% of the people that actually out of the 100%, 15% of the people will send you prints, and
Yeah.
5% of that will actually like okay
be
your
a
quote.
legit print. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
what is it? What I've always heard and what I've always gone by is 1 in 10. So if you talk to 10 customers, if one customer out of those 10 customers gives you the thumbs up and the green light, you're good. So, I mean, if it's just one of those things that it's a tough to get, it's hard to get used to all the no's. But once you get jaded by all the no's, when the yes comes, you're like, all right, cool, I got this. And
yeah.
then, the customer's like, you don't seem excited. Be like, look, I've been told no 9 times. You told me yes. Let's just go before you change your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Those, I mean, dude, I'm still trying to build my little side business and stuff on its own. And, the ebbs and flows of it throughout the years have just, it's just one of those things that it builds you. It really does.
Yeah, no, it's cool though having that. Like, I only had it for like a month, but a little bit of freedom to kind of, oh yeah, I'm doing this to like and I'm sure it's a lot different when you get into like a big company, like you're running a couple, like you got a couple guys underneath you, and you're
Yeah.
trying to like make sure those guys have work every day for the next couple, as long as they work for you. But just working for myself, there was some kind of a thrill, something, I
Yeah.
don't know, I just enjoyed it a lot. So I'm
Yeah,
just,
it's kind of a different mind frame to get into to where you're like, is there something I should be doing right now?
yep.
Like you constantly have that fear in the back of your mind that okay, what did I forget today?
Yep, yep. You just write it down. I'd always make like, and I've always done that too when I was doing world skills, and like even before then, I'd write stuff down.
Hmm.
I've got had my brain, so I trained myself to remember and plan out my whole training schedule every day, every week for like for a month. Like I'd have, and I'd have it planned out. Well, I guess not quite a month, but I'd have like 2 or 3 weeks ahead planned out. And as I was scoring my projects, so like I'd weld a set out one week and I would score them. I would kind of change my training schedule the following week,
Hmm.
and then the week after. I would sit there and I'd plan it out. But I'd like a big part of world skills, and I think out in the real world is being able to adapt.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
what another thing too that I learned is being able to adapt.
It's always 100% about getting the job done,
Yep,
but
getting it done.
getting it done right. So there's
Yep.
that little caveat at the end of it, getting it done right is a little bit like, "Gee," you
Sometimes
know,
people are like, just get it done, and you're like, and then you have to set aside your pride.
yeah,
Other times you're getting it done, it looks good and it's turning out good. World skills, that was the beauty of world skills, is like you get the job done and it has to be freaking perfect. And you have one
yeah,
shot. That's what was
yeah.
really, really cool about it.
That's awesome, dude. You're just training for that one time. I mean, Lord knows after all these years, I still have days where I go in and I'm like, the first beat I lay down, I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. This is gonna look good. And then there's those days where you go in and you're like, man, do I even know what I've been doing?
Oh, dude. World skills, oh, every day. You're like, sometimes you walk in and you're like, oh, yeah, I got this. Like, this is going to be a good day. And then, like, 10 minutes later, you're like, what the freak?
Yeah,
And you come in
you're
other
like,
days.
you feel like you're competing against some guys in Russia using 2 car batteries, and they're beating you, and you're like, oh, man, what am I doing?
Yeah, dude. Oh, no. So that was kind of a legit thing down in, I think it was Africa. I was talking to some of
Yeah,
the Africans. Like, they straight up, they
that's
barely like had a couple
there's a
months of
lot of places. There's a lot of places around the world that are like that, like India, Africa. A lot of those other countries, like those guys just get it done however they can, and it's amazing to watch their ingenuity solve the problems they have versus, you know, we have unlimited resources to some extent compared to what they have, and just the problems are still the same, but their solutions are a lot more creative than what ours are.
Yeah, it's crazy listening to their stories. It's really cool though.
So where was Worlds held at?
So it was held in Lyon, France for the
Okay.
2024 edition. Um, I believe this next year or the next rotation, so in 2 years, in 2026, I guess next fall is going to be in Shanghai, China. So
Nice.
originally the 22 World Skills Edition, my buddy Jordan Packer, that's the one he went to. It was originally supposed to be in Shanghai, China, but with COVID and I believe it was the Russian and Ukraine war and a bunch of other stuff was going on,
Mm-hmm.
or had just started at that time, and so they like completely shut everything down. They didn't know they were gonna. I think like 2 or 3 months before they actually did the competition, they had no idea up until that point, and then they just decided to do it in Cleveland, Ohio. So that's the 2022.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a whole ordeal. So before COVID, or my rotation was the first rotation to be kind of somewhat back to normal after COVID.
Oh, so like basically the first post-COVID rotation.
Yep, that was like, I wouldn't say legit because the one in Ohio was legit, but like somewhat normal. Like you had your open, like out of country, you had the opening ceremony, closing ceremony, you had the big facility holding all the different competitions.
That's awesome, dude. That just sounds cool, man. I hope one day I could watch it, see it televised. I know it'd probably be boring, and like every other welder watching it's like, oh, I could have done a better weld than that. We all do that.
Yeah, and what's funny about it is reality is not.
No, it's not,
Like
dude.
the training. So, and the only reason I say that is because I thought I had the same opinion. Like I thought, oh
Oh.
yeah, like that would be easy. Realistically, as long as like if you can go win a state and national, like go win at state, you have the
Hmm.
somewhat of the knowledge of kind of going into it. What's really important is like perfecting it. So what I'm saying is if you can make really good welds at state and you can score the basic principles, so hit and weld size, no porosity, no undercut, no lack of fusion, etc. Like then if you can hit those on pretty much every position, most every weld, like then it gets down to where you're in half a millimeter increments. It
Oh,
gets down
nice.
to that. Yeah, it gets down. But that's where putting all that time and effort into it, you get down to where you're from 1 to 2 millimeters out, clear down to half a millimeter or less, and then you're getting those points. It's all about points. And so yeah, there's definitely times where you can lay down someone could have laid down a better bead than I could have, but it doesn't matter what it looks like, it matters what it scores.
Yeah, I
That's
can see what you're
all.
saying.
Yeah, so it's not even, you could have the shittiest looking welds on a vessel and it could still score good.
Yeah, but I mean, in that way, honestly, it's just like following WPS and weld spec, out in the real world, to where I've seen some welds that are absolutely just hideous, and they hold, and then some real pretty welds they don't hold, and so
Exactly.
you know it just goes down to that, and how you know like, did it work? Did it work? Did it weld? Yeah, it welded, but did it hold? That's really what the key is to everything.
Yep. And what's
Cool,
crazy
man.
too is the vessel. She's supposed to hold they pressured up to 1,000 psi.
Oh, okay.
That one will get you nervous.
Nah.
Not really, but like,
Dude, you well, I mean, to me, what would make me nervous is being like on the clock. You know what I mean? You have that constant ticking of the clock in the back of your head to know that I only have this much time to get it right, so that that starts that anxiety rush of like, okay, this is what we got to do. I got to get it done. I got to go. I don't have time to sit here and worry about my heel and toe edges. I got to weld. When
yep,
really, if you stop and think about it, it probably is what you're supposed to be doing.
yeah. So the beauty of it is when you've trained that much, and you have that, like, you come up with a welding procedure, it's like 99.99% guaranteed you're going to be just fine. But when that's because the vessel is like half, it's probably a third of the points you get at Worlds is holding pressure. And you have everybody sitting there watching you. Like, you have a leak and they bring it up in increments or whatever. So you're like sitting there for 5 minutes watching this thing get pressured up, and everybody's watching you at the same time. Like, yeah, you don't, it's hard to explain. Like, you've got it and it's going to hold pressure. But if it doesn't, then you just like, you went from first, second, third, clear down to like 20th, just like that. That's what gets you nervous.
It's like, when it's testing day at the shop and everybody's got to do their bend test, and then you kind of have that competition. But I can imagine, it's one thing you're bending a bar. It's a completely other thing if you're pressurizing a vessel and you're waiting and in front of people and an audience and like.
And you've been training for 2 to 3 years prior to that, leading up to one moment.
Dude,
that's like doing practicing for one bend test for like a year. And it's like
crazy, man.
Yeah, but no, it was so amazing, dude.
That's so wild, dude. Well, I feel like we've gotten to know you quite a bit here. We'll leave a little bit left for later on in the year to do a part 2.
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you have in store for you, say, in the next 6 months? What's the goal that you want to accomplish?
Start doing a whole bunch of side projects, and then get more equipment, get the word out to the different, like, the younger generation about world skills, and to, like, that's what I've always, leading up into it and doing it, like, giving or helping somebody else know about it and giving them the same opportunity that I had to learn and grow and to become the person that I have become today, regardless if they win or not. Like, that's another big thing, is I want to be able to help the next competitors, like, going into state nationals and worlds.
You could be like the trainer, a world skills trainer.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm actually
cool,
already, every competitor, and we can talk about this later in part 2, but every competitor that has competed at Worlds, they have the chance to come back and help train the future competitors.
Oh, that's so cool, man. Because then you just keep passing down that knowledge and that train of thought. That's really cool, man. Competition is always a good way to get people interested in something because, like sports, like, yeah, basketball's fun, throwing a football around fun, but like the competition is what actually makes you want to like get better and do better at it. And the fact that there's these skills competitions that are popping up for welding. I believe there's one for HVAC. The lineman rodeo for the electrical linemen. Like all those little competitions that actually help raise the standard for people is actually really cool and such a cool thing that has developed over the years.
Yeah, no, and everybody's got a competitive nature deep down too.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
So it all just kind of plays into effect,
Yeah, definitely. So, all right. Well, Wyatt, it has been a pleasure talking with you this evening. I'm not sure when your spotlight's going to go up. It might be this week. It might be next week. Is there anything you want to say to anybody? Any advice you want to give before we close this out?
There's a quote I'm trying to remember that I used to live by. My whole lifestyle has changed after getting done with Worlds. Oh yeah, this is what it was. So hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. So remember to always work hard.
Dude, that's awesome. That's good advice, brother. All right, man. Well, It was nice meeting you. I know we've never spoken before, other than a couple of text messages here and there and stuff. But I look forward to staying in touch with you. Welcome to the Edge Army. Um, and this has been your spotlight. Everyone, is there anything you want to plug before you get off?
Um, Edge TIG cups, uh, Everlast, TIG welders, hit me up. I need a welder. Uh, New Welder made. They do a lot of your welding coupons, or what are they called? Your weldments. They make some super cool weldments. Um, American Welding Society, CK Worldwide, Lincoln, Miller.
You just name everybody. Just go for it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, most
All
of
right.
those people are my sponsors going through World Skills. So,
That's awesome, dude. Big thanks to them for helping you get to achieve your goal. That's incredible to have that many people stand behind you for that. That really is like that's a cool thing, man.
oh yeah,
So,
that was, yep.
all right, man. Well, have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Thanks,
Hey,
Brad.